This is Things I've Found Online with Joe Cipriano, Laird Dog Morgan, Lisa Arch, and the lovely Louise Palanker. Beware, these radio legends are exploring the internet. Louise.
I like the way he says Louise, like I'm about to announce the prizes.
Are there prizes?
There's prizes.
Oh, there may be prizes.
On Facebook, I posted a photo of us circa whatever year that was. And I said, if anybody can name all of the people in this photograph, they'll win a T-shirt. Oh, damn, now I have to order T-shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Except
like Ray De La Garza, boom, 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 boom. But
Really?
the only person he got wrong, because I think it's a mystery. You can look at the photograph, but he's hiding his face.
I'm looking at
I
the
think
photo.
it's Pete.
Yeah.
I think it's
can
Pete.
I see the photo?
Oh,
Where's the
really?
photo?
Yeah.
Oh, look at
Now,
Larry.
see-
Larry's right
now,
in the
see,
middle.
I'm in the
Louise
photo,
is
and I don't think I
strewn
can do
about.
it.
Yeah, that's Pete.
Yeah.
You're going to have to hold your phone up to the camera, Larry, because we don't have the photo. That is Pete, right?
That's Pete. Yeah, I remember that shot.
All right.
So sorry, Ray, no T-shirt. Or you.
Wait a minute. I can't find James Arnold.
Oh,
Where
he's
is
in
he?
there.
Oh,
He's
he's
right
in there.
with the tie,
In the
standing
center.
in front of the
Look
person
at Doogie
hiding their
Howser.
face.
Come on. It's,
Is he
Someone
wearing?
please.
Look at
please
him.
put
He's so
put their
handsome
phone
and
up to
young.
the camera.
Yeah,
Oh,
stand
here,
by.
I could put my phone
Stand
up to
by.
a camera.
I got it.
I've got it, Larry.
No, I bet I get it before you
Nope,
do.
it's already
This is-
there.
All right,
All right,
kids.
so there
Yeah,
we
but
go.
you
I'm
have
going to stop this podcast right
You
here.
have to get up and get it closer.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
walk
well,
it.
James-
Oh, there we
you
go.
go.
Thank you, James.
So there's Danny, Adrian, Helen, Will, everybody. Bill,
I'm not in it.
Mike Ambers.
you're not in it.
Danny
Lisa's not in
Lang,
it. Where were you?
I'm not
Joe's
in
not
it.
in it.
Eric Caver, Bill
probably-
Filipiak,
I might have already quit by then.
Academy
Yeah.
Award nominated Alan Winkus.
Alan Winkus,
Last week's guest.
So James,
yeah.
you were just a young boy,
Wow.
and
I
now,
was.
Should we-
you
Has
have.
he even been
Should you
introduced
introduce
yet?
him?
Oh, James Arnold Taylor. Our guest is James Arnold Taylor,
please
who you
introduce
can
him,
see in the
yes.
photograph on my Facebook page after you finish watching this live event, because I did post it in my feed. You can friend me. I may or may not accept your friend request. There's James. And
Oh, but I'm right here.
Oh,
so
no,
I don't
but
know
this
if we
is
need
better.
to do that.
This is because
Yeah.
it's a photograph, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
people
Fun
know that you've
facts.
had pictures taken.
fun facts about James Arnold Taylor, who's a famous voice actor, include
Famous.
when he came to work at Premier Radio Networks with his partner Pete.
Yeah.
James was 19 and he had a ponytail.
Oh, I had
What?
very long hair.
Whoa,
Well, I
19,
didn't- I don't know if I
James.
wore it in a ponytail,
Oh, my
but
gosh.
I had very long hair.
Very long
Yeah,
hair.
I had the Robert Plant hair.
Kind
remember?
of.
Oh, yeah,
Do
rock
remember
star.
I
that?
heard Robert Plant.
By the way, not that there's anything wrong with it, but when you said partner, it sounded like it might be James's significant other. But it was
Well,
more of a
that's
in his
business.
dreams.
It was a business partner.
Well, he was
My
he was
nightmare.
pretty
You're
significant.
correct.
He was
We
a
could do a
significant
whole
other.
show of Pete stories.
Yeah, we could.
We actually did a movie about it. So
Yeah.
We did, and there's a clip of that at the end of our show.
Oh, wow.
So that's the tease that
Wow.
keeps you hanging in there.
Yeah.
So, but James, we're going to Google you because that's what we do with guests. So
Okay.
please Google John
Yes.
James Arnold Taylor.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, while we're waiting, as long as we're showing pictures of people, can
Oh
we-
gosh,
Oh,
really?
is that-
Wow, Lisa.
Look at that.
What do you have there, Lar?
Lisa.
that.
Oh, and it's autographed.
Yeah.
Who's that sign? Who's that signed
Pretty
to?
great.
That's
Is
sexy,
that?
Bill.
Did I
Who's-
sign that? Who did I
Who's
sign
Victor?
that? Victor.
With
Oh,
Lisa
so
Cashel
that's-
and a heart.
That's somebody
Whoa,
who must have.
Lisa.
Yeah,
That's Victor. He's the guy who now has
Hot.
an eBay account and sells your
correct.
picture.
And
Yeah.
I bet no one's
Oh, my
buying it.
gosh.
Oh, here's one to Eric.
So there's
Oh,
James.
man.
If you Google James,
There, okay,
And
yeah, look at that.
James,
Yeah.
what do you think when you see that? Did you ever dream that there'd be a Google page devoted to you?
You know, I've seen fire and I've seen rain.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's a
no,
completely
wrong
different
one.
James
Oh, that's a
Taylor.
different James?
Yeah.
You get mixed up
Yeah.
too.
I do. I
Wow.
forgot that's not
That's
me.
weird.
What do you do when you get his mail?
You know what happened? Actually, I can tell you. When I finally started getting residuals as a voice actor, I was expecting a very, very large residual, like a very my first very large, and they sent it to James Taylor instead.
Those bastards.
And then they
Oh,
sent
my
me
God.
his Simpsons residual from the one episode he did for 25 cents.
That's
So now you guys have to meet at the fence and exchange
Yeah,
mail.
we got to change mail. Yeah.
Okay,
And,
exciting.
they just assumed, well, no voice actor would get a check like that. We'll give it to
Right.
the singer.
But here's the quarter.
It's gotta be
That's-
James Taylor.
Yeah, the quarter is bound to go to
That's
him.
the voice actor.
and you know that's the conversation they had in their head.
Yeah.
Exactly in
was
that
that
tone of voice.
before you changed it to James Arnold Taylor?
No,
Oh,
it's always. I mean, I think the very first thing I did, they put James Taylor, and then my agents had to go, no, it's got to always be James Arnold
Oh,
Taylor.
wow.
But
And I was telling you
Yeah.
that at a very young age.
well, yeah, I mean, you always called me Jamie, which was
Right.
my family. Like my family called me Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
And I
Jamie.
almost went by Jamie, Jamey. And we kind of debated it. I remember sitting in your office
had
talking about
long
it.
conversations about this because I just wanted him to have his own identity. I didn't
Yeah,
want people to read his
still
name and
don't.
think of another person.
But I make my whole living actually sounding like other people now.
Right, which is odd.
And so there
Do
you
you
go.
do a James Taylor impression?
Up on the roof, I might, yeah.
All right, well,
If he was Jamie Taylor, I feel like your career would have been completely
Would've been-
different.
I would have been like, hi, I'd have to come in, hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, it is that stand-up comic that you make
Yeah.
fun of. That's
Jamie
Jamie
Harrison.
Taylor.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made up for the bits we did was Jamie Harrison, because that was the name I was going to do. Like,
oh, there is a Jamie Sheridan, actor Jamie Sheridan. All right, so here's what it says in Wikipedia about our own James Arnold Taylor.
boy.
James Arnold Taylor is an American voice actor known for portraying Ratchet
American. That's
in the
true.
Ratchet and Clank franchise, the main character Titus in Final Fantasy X.
It's pronounced.
It's
Oh, no.
Joe, did you hang up?
This is also one of the voices I do.
I think
I'm really good.
Happened.
People don't know.
We're going to have to hang up.
yeah.
Have Joe recall him.
All right.
I think we do need help.
Yeah, I
but
do.
I'd like to
that's-
make a call.
Yeah.
But Joe, are you doing your side work at the same time we're doing the podcast? Because
No,
Yeah, look at- he's like playing.
I think we lost Joe.
yeah,
we may have lost Joe. Okay.
Yeah.
But
so,
we still have his. We can still see him.
That's
if you
all
want.
that matters.
Oh, hi,
It's
Joe.
so cute.
So
Do you hear us? No.
Maybe Joe can't hear us. So James Arnold Taylor plays Titus in Final
It's
Fantasy
pronounced
Titus.
Titus.
Titus, sorry.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars animated
it's
Really?
pronounced Kenobi.
And so do we have James's IMDb page, John,
Oh,
that you can
boy.
tap on?
It's IMDb pages.
Yeah.
You can't just call it an IMDb
This
page.
will be the rest of the podcast.
Right.
Multiple.
Let's just
like-
read them all off
Yeah.
in different voices.
Yeah.
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 Or
Oh,
you could
come
read
on.
the pages
So look at all-
as
In the
each voice that you.
But you know what? You know what? The very first thing on my IMDb was the comedy team of Pete and James.
Look at that.
Wow. And that, as I said,
Very
that's
first
coming
thing.
up at the end of the show.
yeah. Okay.
Comedy
There you
team.
The least important credit will be the thing we end with
It's,
today.
but maybe it's my favorite. You ever think of that, Larry?
I'll stop.
But also, every credit made James who he is today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Life coach Lisa.
you
Because that's
said
what
that
it's
with
about.
such sincerity.
It's
I'm
about
not-
the
and she
credits.
didn't.
You're
really
so
about the credits,
good.
isn't
Thank you.
How come you don't work
Oh,
more?
that's another
All right.
podcast.
So if you're watching at home, what you don't know is that we all four work together at Premier Radio, and our job was to create funny radio comedy for disc jockeys nationwide,
Yeah.
which is why we're so silly when we see each other, because we got paid to be silly every day, all day.
Those were the good old
It
days.
was kind of a stupid job.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
what a
good.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember actually kind of coming to that realization though, going, like, this is really wonderful, and it's an amazing thing to get to do, to just be stupid all day.
Yeah, and so we
kind
would
of fun.
just bat things
Are you
around
there?
that made no
we
sense and came out completely ridiculous.
Way ahead of our time though on so many things.
Yes.
Like,
And
we
as
did
we were
so many
just-
bits. Lisa and I did so many bits that now people are doing. It's like we did that 15,
Yeah.
16 years
Yeah.
ago.
But we were also talking before the show about how we could never do that today because
No.
it's so politically
So much of it is
wrong.
wrong.
Half the stuff I was going to get you today, I was like, I can't.
Can't.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
would just click on things and go, yeah, no.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
But
You
it wasn't
you can
even
no
a
longer
thought.
say,
It wasn't even a thought
No.
15, 20 years ago.
no, we just made fun of everyone.
Well, it was also even before just culturally what's going on. It was pre Janet Jackson Super Bowl, which really was a
Yeah.
major clampdown.
That was the game changer.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, every morning
Ironically,
show
though,
had
I had a ton of nip slips when we were doing these radio bits.
Isn't that
Just
weird?
nobody
nobody
cared.
saw them.
Nobody
Yeah,
I
that's
just
right.
also
I
am kind of-
I rarely wore pants when we recorded these
Fascinating though to think that
Oh my God.
the space time continuum is being affected by. Great Scott, Marty! Once Janet Jackson's nipple is shown, the world will never be the same.
things. Oh my God, we need to
Wait
pitch a
second,
new
Doc,
back to
wait.
the.
Whoa, this is heavy. Weight has nothing to do with her nipple. That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
But there's so much that we couldn't. We like when that happened. Everybody kind of had to change their stance on what you could put out there for radio. There
Was
was
it really?
It
that?
really was.
That
We
that
did
seems
things-
weird. To
Oh
me.
yeah,
we did,
everything
we did
changed.
so much
Yeah.
that was
Network
wrong.
television changed.
So much that was wrong. And I don't know if you know the story, Joe, but the only thing that I ever raised my hand as the head of the department and said, you may not do this, was Chelsea shaming. because she was a child.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
and I was
Right.
a young woman who had
Protecting
been
the
a child. I was like,
Right.
no.
Yes.
And everyone looked at me like, why not? We're already making fun of midgets and nuns. I mean, it was.
I think that was only Rob though. With songs, 'cause
Yeah.
I don't think we ever did.
But
No, we never
the
made
thing
fun
that
of
got
I
us
don't
in
remember making fun of
trouble,
children.
the thing
I
that
wouldn't have
finally
done
got us in trouble with an advertiser was
Yeah.
a bit that James did. And I don't know why
Oh,
this
James.
particularly crossed a line when
Legal
nothing
got very upset.
when nothing else had. But would
Harold.
you like to describe the bit?
Yeah, it was. So Reese's Peanut Butter Cups was doing this whole thing of there's only one way, or there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
Oh, yeah.
There's no wrong way.
No, none at
So
all.
they set the guidelines.
Sure,
There is
nothing-
no wrong way.
Yeah.
So we had it. I like to take my Reese's and put it in a spoon and melt it down. Then I take this hypodermic needle, and you can kind of see where it goes from there. And they got a little upset.
Yeah. Reese's,
Really?
I'm not a
Yeah,
fan.
they-
No.
And
they
we
got very
didn't
upset.
learn that it's probably not it's probably not a great idea to take an actual product name and their slogan and use the exact same thing.
not like say,
and because we were
Misa.
pretty
Right.
and because you were pretty good at it, make it actually sound like a commercial.
really did sound like a
and
Right.
put it out there and let stupid disc jockeys make the decision whether to air it or
Yeah.
not, because
Yeah.
you kind of forget, that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
We did a Got Milk campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And we got in trouble
no.
for that.
Oh,
too.
yeah, I remember that.
That was when it really came down. It was like, do not do bits about these products or companies.
Then there was the one.
and
that-
you hate doing the wacky name stuff. It's
Yeah,
like,
we never
Yeah.
really liked. I didn't like to. So we tried to come up with real names. Like our fake aspirin was Advin because
Right,
that sounds
right.
real.
Yeah.
Right.
Advin.
Yeah,
But
Advin.
but I,
I
do
think I
remember
did
one.
Gallmark cards just to avoid any issues there.
gosh.
What was the didn't you do Pepperidge Farm?
Pepperidge Farm. Yeah, Pepperidge Farm.
And someone
Remember.
always died.
Yeah.
And I think we just kept that Pepperidge Farm.
But the
right?
one
And they
that
died
I remember-
Taster's
horribly.
Choice. There was a whole Taster's
Oh,
Choice series you
that
guys
was-
did. Didn't you just
Yeah.
call it Taster's Choice?
Yeah. We did? And the first one was the two guys were sitting by the fire enjoying the evening. And
Yeah.
Right?
let me make some coffee. But I don't know. There was a lot of, a
But
lot
can you,
of
innuendo.
James, can you,
Lot
can
of
you kind of
innuendo.
like sort of paint the mood of how someone would die in the Pepperidge Farm commercials? There was always some sort of
It's so
oozing
politically
goodness.
incorrect
Yeah.
now. I remember, the just like poisonous cookies and I don't
they
know.
would-
I remember Ron Dunlop, Lon Dunlop, Sean Dunlop, the lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
guy, and he always got killed at the end.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
But no, I don't remember specifically on the Peppers because I think Alan and them did those originally.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So what we did bring that is still, I think, would be politically incorrect today, but there was there were these commercials running for, I think it was like Sam and Libby clothing line.
Sam and Libby clothing,
and it
yeah.
said, the tag said Sam and Libby, like you'd want to have their name on your clothes. And then the commercials were very lifestyle. The kids were in
It
swings.
was those Dockers kind of like,
Yeah.
the camera.
And I said, you guys
and-
have to take off on this. And then I left the room.
yeah.
And then boom.
The rest is history. And Joe, I don't know if you're a fan of Stan and Larry, but they became pretty epic. So this is the first episode of Stan and Larry.
Can't
Go.
wait.
First one ever.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yes,
Yeah.
roll it if you have it, John.
That's.
Should be an attachment.
I haven't heard that since my wedding night. Roll it if you have it, John.
That was the other one. Johnny Carson saying,
All right.
"I."
Doc is here. Doc is not here. Hi-oh, Tommy.
Say Stan and Larry.
Hey-o. Hey-o.
Yeah, this is it's a big wind-up
All right.
Yeah.
for something people are going to go, so
That's okay.
couple guys.
No. It was
Here's
funny.
the pitch.
Here's
If you don't have that, John, I'll move on with the conversation.
okay.
There
Well,
should be an
Larry and I
attachment.
now see Larry and I can do it because Larry and I were Stan and Larry.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is
I was the second Darren.
you were, you
Oh
were
my
the
God,
second
that's
Larry.
hilarious.
No, you were the second Stan. The funny thing
Right.
is Larry was
Really?
Stan.
Right, Larry's
Right.
I
name-
was Larry.
because Pete. Oh, we found it. Okay, here we
Okay,
go.
good. Thank
So this
you.
is
good.
Pete and James as
Can't
Stan
wait.
and Larry.
Here we go. Gotta
Stan
hear
and
this.
Larry is comfort.
I think it's a lifestyle.
Yes, yeah.
I think your clothes have to say what you're about.
I think we are what we wear, and we wear clothes.
Clothes that say, we're us.
I like to do everything my clothes do. Keeps me young. Stan and Larry's say, hey, we're your clothes. It's okay. Wear us.
That's
yeah.
what they're talking.
They're saying.
What are they saying? What are they saying?
Freedom,
Yes.
danger,
Adventure.
Danger and
Very good.
adventure.
Like fire. Hot.
yes, hot fire and water. Sort of a steam.
I'm your clothes. It's okay. Be me.
We'll all be me together.
That's Stan and Larry.
Stan and Larry. Real clothes for really weird people.
Yeah,
Wow.
it started there.
It started there,
Yeah.
and boy,
But by
did it
the
go
time-
places.
It got way
By
big.
the time you and I were doing it,
By
was...
the way, if those bits sound like they're not like the most meticulously tightly scripted bits of all time,
they weren't
you're,
scripted.
you're right.
They were not.
So
Right.
here's
A
how
lot of
You were
editing.
ad-libbing?
we would
a
pretty
lot of
much
it?
go in, and this was back when we had reel-to-reels. So we had the 2-track rolling, and I'd hit
my.
record because Pete didn't know how to even touch a button on
Pete
anything.
did not.
And we would go into the booth, and we would just go for like 10 minutes, and then I would then take it and edit with a razor blade.
Yeah. And it would just be
Bits and
just
pieces.
random.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Just
it
random
would just,
parts.
and I don't think there was ever when I was doing Stan and Larry with you, it
Yeah.
literally we just look at each other and
Go.
Larry,
Yeah. Stan.
Larry.
Stan.
put your hand in here.
Why do you want, what's in there?
What do you feel? What do you
I don't
think?
want. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared.
Cupcakes! Cupcake pants.
Cupcake pants. It's pants that are cupcakes. So
Yeah.
anytime, because sometimes you go to a party and
Yeah,
it's like, what
that's
am I going to bring?
right. No,
I don't know what
that's
to bring.
right.
You know,
And-
people
or
like to have,
maybe
like,
they're not
bread
gonna
and
have
things like that.
cupcakes. You have to have cupcakes.
Most people don't bring good cupcakes.
Yeah, that's
if
right.
they do.
Okay, now right hand pocket. Go
Right
ahead.
hand pocket.
No, wrong one. Wrong one.
And then there'd be an edit.
Go
and,
on like
yeah,
that
it would
And
go
then
forever.
we
like
would
that.
both have wives, which was the best.
Yes.
What are you saying?
You did.
What are you saying?
It was like, I think you
What are you
guys,
saying,
inspired
Louise?
Jiminy Glick to have a wife. Like,
Yes.
why would Jiminy Glick have a wife?
Well, and Jimmy Glick, let me say, I did a character named Franklin.
Yes.
Years before Jimmy
Yeah,
Glick.
yeah.
And Franklin was this. Hello, darling. And he was basically Jimmy Glick.
I think we
So,
inspired Martin
I
Short.
wonder why.
It's
I
fair.
wonder why he's
It's
doing
fair to
that.
say.
We're pretty sure that we inspired every
Everyone.
good
Well,
comedic
I
thing
will-
everywhere.
I will say this. 25 years ago, Pete and I did a bit called Day Late Express Mail. And it was before you even officially hired us.
Okay.
We were still at the radio station in Santa Barbara.
Right.
And it was, we'll get your package there late and swear it's our fault. And then we gave a tape of some of our bits to Mark Davis, who gave it to David Spade.
Wow.
And David Spade then, a few months later on Saturday Night Live, there was a bit called Day Late Express Mail.
Wait a minute,
We'll
no
get your
one on
package
SNL.
and swear it's our fault.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
David Spade.
So, I mean,
We're
I'm saying,
on
who
to
knows?
you.
I know.
But also, don't you think that you guys were doing this on the radio
So
and
people could have
comedy
heard it,
writers
yeah.
all over Los Angeles were stuck in traffic, and so they
Right.
heard your bits and
Yeah.
stole a ton of
No,
it.
you're
you know?
assuming our bits ran in Los Angeles,
Well,
Joe.
no,
That's
see,
a
because
great
that was
one.
another one.
Okay, sorry
Now, if they
about
were
that.
driving through Akron, maybe.
Yeah.
Years later.
Only Gary Owens would claim they aired in Los Angeles.
I work.
That's right.
No, another time too. Later, I was reading for an audition for Carl's Jr. and they had a guy, Chef Vinny. Chef Vinny, okay, I'm Chef Vinny. Today we're gonna make
Hey.
peanut butter jelly sandwich. So I sent them Chef Perry, which we had done 15 years prior.
Yes.
Which was, I mean, they had the same jokes in it.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Stop
it's a
it.
meal fit
Wow.
for a king. Here, king. Here, king.
Oh.
And I sent it to them, and they were kind of like,
God,
We can give you this job.
I guess.
Will that help?
Yeah.
unbelievable.
So I think like what
Wow.
Joe's talking about subliminally, you know,
Yes.
you hear these things. It's like comedy. I mean,
Yeah.
stand up. You're doing stand up and, people
People
steal.
pick it
Yeah,
up
you,
stuff.
you could
It's
stumble
like-
into a club and accidentally hit memo voice on your phone and
Right.
just accidentally memorize that.
Somebody
and the
else's
next
act.
Yeah. It's
week
like-
stumble into another club onto the stage and those words could fall out of you. And my name is Jeff Sessions.
Oh.
Oh, nice. Wait, so can I? Is it okay if I set the stage a little bit about how it used to be
Please.
Yeah.
when
Yes.
we were
Set the
doing those
stage.
bits?
Yes.
So we were in
Yes.
our early 20s.
Yes.
We're in a high-rise building in Los Angeles.
Yep.
9 o'clock at night we'd start
Yeah,
often.
yeah.
Sometimes we'd do daytime
Sometime.
work, but mostly it was 9 o'clock at night. We
I was-
got the whole office to ourselves.
I was in my late 20s.
Right. And we would roam the halls.
Yeah.
It was literally like Home Alone.
Yeah.
And
Like we'd come in the next day and we'd find Nerf missiles all over the
Oh,
place.
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But
you
you
guys-
know what? It's like we were the original Google.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
where
That's a
you're
very
like,
good
we're
point.
creative. We have to like walk around and throw balls and,
And-
crumple up paper and hit each other in the head.
Do you remember
and-
how many we had to do each week?
Oh my God.
Oh.
I don't remember
So
exactly.
many.
But
15.
It was
Yeah.
14 and 15, I think.
Here's
yeah.
it finally went down to 13. But when we first started, they went like, how many do you think you can do? And we go, I don't know, 13, 15. They're, okay. And then we realized
What are we
like the
doing?
whole other half of the department was like all these other people and they were doing that other 50. So like we're doing 15
Yeah.
a week. It was
Yeah.
a lot.
But
it
it,
was crazy.
it felt
Wow.
like I could not believe we were getting paid to do it. And I was getting paid very little because I had worked in the office and sort of I quit because
What department were you in?
I was in traffic.
Yeah, you were bad at that.
You were in traffic.
I shouldn't ever do a job.
I remember very specifically the day I met you. You walked into Studio A. Pete and I were working, and you came in, and somebody else brought you in and introduced you and everything. And I remember we all just hit it off.
Yes.
And it was like, wow, we gotta like work with her. She's gonna be funny. And so you started doing bits with us, and then
we never stopped laughing. And there was a Denny's downstairs, and we would take a break and go have like pancakes and eggs
Have a
and
terrible
things
lunch.
that
Right.
but we never
Pete,
eat.
Yeah, Pete would have to smoke.
So
I gotta smoke.
are you saying that you guys would start at 9 and would you go all night
All
long?
night,
How long
all
would
night.
you be there?
I'd be home at sometimes 3 in the morning.
My adrenals are still paying the price for that.
But it
Yes,
was. I mean, it was. They were long nights, but I would leave there so tired from laughing.
Yeah.
Just watching Pete and James and getting to play with them. It was like a dream. It was like a dream.
And so
Fun.
Wow.
we're going to revisit that dream, Lisa.
That is
Please
so cool.
explain to us Veronica.
Yes, Lisa.
Who is
So-
she?
Do you remember?
I
like
didn't
how it all-
remember until you sent it. No.
Oh my God. It's one of my favorites. It's so, Veronica.
I loved doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how she came about.
I don't know either. I just know we were doing bits.
Were
and
you
maybe-
not doing her already in sketch or anything?
No,
Was
it
that,
came
was
from
that
us.
completely?
It
At
came
my
from
house,
us.
my
Oh,
home
really?
studio,
Okay.
in Moore Park, and
So-
we're
so
sitting there.
What is the
talking.
character?
What's her backstory?
She's sort of like a sort of Russian, but not
Indescribable.
really.
Yeah, we don't know where she's
and
from.
she did the celebrity birthdays and horoscopes, and we pitched it up so
Yeah,
it
we
was a
pitched-
higher
yeah.
voice.
So she was up there. Yeah.
Right.
And
But-
I had this like Veronica.
Yeah,
I
you made her
imagine these
sound
guys
very,
like the,
very mysterious.
very,
and
like,
then she starts
European
talking.
guys
And,
and
yeah.
bzz, bzz, bzz,
So do you
bzz,
have that
bzz,
one, John?
yeah.
John's got a thumbs up for me. All
okay.
right, Veronica.
Hi, it's Veronica with Celebrity Birthdays. LL Cool J is 33 years old and he's a rapper and he licks his lips all the time and he must need a lot of chapstick because licking your lips makes them very dry. Charo is 50, can you believe it? Remember when she used to be on the Love Boat all the time? I miss those days when I was homesick from school and I would turn on the Love Boat and there she would be with her Gucci Gucci. Kid Rock is 30 years old and he's banging Pamela Anderson, which just proves the theory that rock stars can get anyone they want, no matter how ugly they are. Ethel Merman was born in 1909 and she had a very loud singing voice and she used to sing, "There's no business like show business." She also had a small part in Airplane, as Ethel Merman. What a coincidence! Happy birthday, everybody!
So the ages that people were.
And then,
Yeah.
So, and let me say, when I was going through bits, and I found that was just the random one, and I couldn't stop. I'm like, well, I mean, they were all funny like
Well,
that.
I think what I like about her, listening back, is she's very matter of fact.
Yeah.
She just says facts, but she doesn't care if she's saying something mean or not.
It doesn't.
Just no filter.
And no filter.
Right. No
And it
filter.
wouldn't matter. You'd go, oh, it's
Love
okay.
that.
Right.
She's foreign.
Right. She doesn't know.
Yeah, she didn't really
Honestly,
understand
if
the
that was
language.
a bit like, who's the sings girl, the whatever. If that was like a viral video bit going on now, that would be huge. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be one of those things
Yeah,
that
her
everybody would
Absolutely.
be.
Yeah.
saying happy
completely
birthday to
different
people
now.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other was the horoscope.
Right.
So she had her horoscope.
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
those were always funny. You would go. So Lisa would just go and write those and then come back and we'd record, and I wouldn't know what was going to happen. And
See, but that's why it was amazing too, is because it was like improv training in a way. You had to
Absolutely. Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
You just had to crank them out.
Yeah.
yeah, because every week, 15 of them.
So, James, how do you move from radio into voiceovers? Because Joe's a big voiceover king, and
He is.
everyone in radio always knew that voiceovers
Well, James
are.
and I worked together for years at Fox, and he's
Yeah.
still
But
knocking out
voiceovers-
those Sunday nights.
Voiceovers
right.
are really, really hard to crack, and you've both been able to do that.
Bastards.
Well, I'll before you start
Yeah.
telling your story, I
Please.
remember all of us at Premiere in that comedy department. It was a great unit, and we were all really. I mean, it was a pretty special time.
Yeah.
But I think to a man, every single one of us would go, why isn't James famous yet? I mean, it was
don't
kind
know.
of like
That's very
mind
nice.
boggling.
Yeah, because James was a boy genius.
And then James would come in and go, why aren't I famous yet? But But you really
Still say that.
You were really caught.
Larry, I think it was because you guys were holding him back.
It's true.
No,
It's
if
true.
anything,
Physically.
we were trying to get him the hell
letters,
out. I mean,
P-E-T-E.
there were so many people rooting
I
for
heard
you.
what you
Oh,
said.
thank you.
And but I feel like you have told me the story in our podcast
Sure.
is that it was almost like you were too good at too many things. Like nobody knew what to do with you.
Jack of all trades. I still have that issue with work in voiceover. If they see me, I mean, when I booked the first Fred Flintstone gig and I walked in, I mean, people can see me here, 5'4", 112 pounds, soaking wet. The director literally looked over me. She went, "Where is he?"
Where is the guy?
And so I was like, "It's hi." I mean,
You became Veronica.
Yeah, and she was. So we were in the session. I'm with Henry Corden, who was the voice of Fred Flintstone for 30 years.
Wow.
He was, retiring and such. He had been ill and everything. So he was helping to choose the next Fred. It was out of literally thousands of people. It was down to the last 3 guys, and I was the last guy of the day. She looks over me and everything. I come in, and so they would play Henry, and then I would repeat it. Play and repeat, play and repeat, play and repeat.
Let's hear some.
And so she goes, "He's not deep enough. His voice isn't deep enough." And the engineer goes, "He's actually deeper than Henry." She goes, "Well, he's not Jackie Gleason enough." And Henry finally goes, "Would you stop looking at him and listen to him?" So he made her close her eyes, and by the end of the session,
That's great.
she couldn't tell
Yeah.
who was him, which was who, or who was
That's
which. Or,
Wow.
amazing.
That's a great story.
You still deal with that.
Yeah.
Another one with the Fox stuff. I was at a session. You'll appreciate this, Joe. Tom Kane and I were up for a gig for a syndicated thing for a package for a show, and they wanted the big Fox voice. And I go in, and I had said to my agents, "Can't I just ISDN it? Just do it where they don't see me." And they said, "No, they want you in." And I go in, and the guy's like, "It sounds like you're trying to sound like that guy on Fox." And I went,
jeez.
Look at Joe.
I went,
We
"You
lost
mean
him.
Joe
That's great.
Cipriano?" No, I said, "That is me."
No.
Oh my
That
god.
is
Couldn't get
so
past it
funny.
because of how I looked. So
Yeah.
there is some
this
of that
is
that comes
why,
into play.
James,
Yeah.
for years and years, it was never smart to show your face as a voiceover
Yeah.
person. People would, on their websites, would never, if you did voiceover, do not put a picture on.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
they were immediately have an idea of what you should sound like.
I was told to do the same for my television career.
You see what-
It was a wise choice, Larry. A wise choice.
For the first few years, I did that, and I did like pictures of the mic in focus, but my face out
right.
of focus.
I remember that, yes.
And then when I started doing the Star Wars stuff and the Disney shows where I was doing I wrote a show called Talking to Myself that's about my life as a voice actor. Once
Which
I
is
started
the
doing
best,
that,
most
brilliant.
unbelievable
It's so
show.
oh, thank you.
It's incredible.
Shameless
Yeah.
plug. I started then realizing it's okay. Like people got it. Once the people on YouTube and once the kids get you,
Oh yeah.
Oh, then it's
oh
over.
yeah.
then it's
There you
over.
go.
So I always say
Yeah.
Hollywood doesn't know who I am, but their kids do.
Right.
So,
And then once they know who to expect,
Then
they're
it's okay.
not disappointed when they see you.
and it also helps inspire them because they go, "Oh, that little guy did it. I can do it."
Wow.
Yeah, and even Adam Levine knows turn your chair around when you listen to people sing.
Yes, very good point. I don't think
Yes,
that was his
very
concept,
good.
but he is a part of that show.
But he's so handsome.
That's all that matters.
So James, now
But I
James,
digress.
James's demo reel. Okay, so do you have James's website? James is like this is what I want to talk to you guys about. Like you guys are so good at technology and everything that it takes to kind of like create a platform for yourselves.
Yeah.
Is that essential to making it in this industry? Because everything you do, your website, your YouTube channel, your voice reel, everything that you present online is just so flawless.
Oh, yeah, very.
In
kind.
addition to you being the guy that backs it all up when you walk into the room and you deliver, like, is that a big part of making it in voiceovers? Being able to not be intimidated
Can I just say,
by
Weeze, that most voiceover people do not have the talent. I mean, James has the talent on the side, the voiceover talent, but then he has this technical talent.
Yeah.
It's just not something that you see normally.
it's just not fair for one guy to have all this talent.
You guys are good.
I think
for
it's
me.
okay.
But you're really short. You're
So this is
so
true.
short.
So we're looking at
true.
James's
That is true.
website,
I am
and then
short.
could you go to the top and play his promo reel? It's just this is incredible.
It's merciless, beautiful, brutal, sexy, and sinful. It's Spike TV's Sin in the City, and it's a hell of a ride.
It's your life. It's your show. An all-new Attack of the Show. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Only on G4.
Laugh out loud, it's Fox. LOL with King. Simpsons. Arrested Development. Malcolm.
Hey, so be a winner and watch Wednesday beginning 8/7 Central on ABC.
Daniel Negreanu, Michael Mizrachi, Phil Rock. Bet their own money in TV's only cash game. High-stakes poker.
Starting Monday at
Now, see,
11:30.
So those are all James.
That's it, and that's an
It's
example.
amazing.
I think back when he
That
was
first one,
yeah.
I don't know where that voice comes from.
insane.
That very first segment.
And I think when you were trying to
Grief.
break in, I think
Yeah.
you had people telling you can't
You
be
can't
all
do
those
that.
things.
Yeah, you can't
gotta
do
be
that.
pick
You have
your
to just be the
pick your one
announcer.
thing.
So the
Just
thing
be
I
the-
would do, because and we were talking about this before. I had a home studio,
Yeah.
so I would do everybody. I did Lisa's demos. I think
James-
Larry, you could do your own.
No, you
James
were-
was
no,
the
you helped me
youngest
with mine.
of us and the first to become a grown-up. He was the first to get married, have a house, build his own studio.
Well,
like James was like,
I think James
Larry
had
was married,
4
Doug,
houses
too.
before I had one.
yeah, they kept
Yeah,
moving.
I've
They kept
gone through them.
moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's my own issue.
So, but he had a home studio. Okay, so go ahead.
No, so I would do everybody's demos, and I would say, you don't have to pay me, but take my demo to your agent. And so Bern
very
Offit,
wise.
our good friend Bern
Yes.
Offit,
Bern Offit.
he took, I don't care, I don't know, I don't care. He took it to his agent.
Now, in Arkansas.
And he took it to his agent, and it sat on his agent's desk for months. And then finally, his agent listened to it and called me and said, "Yeah, I want to take a meeting with you." And
And the rest is history.
Didn't I also take
who
it
was
to
that,
my
James?
agency
Who
and
was
they
the
said
agent?
no?
you did. Now, were you with ARL as well?
No.
No. Okay. It was ARL, Abrams, Rubloff, and Lawrence. And the funny thing is, Nancy,
sure, of
you know
course.
Nancy
Yeah.
Wolfson, right?
Yeah.
Joe, you know
Yeah.
Nancy?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So Nancy
yeah.
passed on me the first 3 times. She's like, "What was I? Why?
Yeah.
Why did I do that?" So I always kind of give her a
Oh,
bad time.
my
Well, how
gosh,
many
yeah.
no's did you get, or no answers?
I mean, for years.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
It's shocking.
And I think that was the thing because he was working on this actively. It wasn't like James ever just sat back and waited for
Right.
somebody to discover.
No,
He was
no.
doing the
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
and he was highly frustrated. And all of us around him are going, holy crap, we don't stand a chance because if he's not doing cartoons, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, that's. I remember.
But Joe has a similar story because he was the voice of Fox and he was like that young guy voice.
Yeah.
And then when he wanted to break
Right.
into like drama and other things, like he had to.
Right. But you know what? Similar in a way, except that James, like you said, he was able to do everything. He can do animation and he can do promos and commercials and characters and all sorts of stuff.
I feel like I
But
shouldn't be
When I
here.
got
I know.
into doing promos at Fox, everybody sounded like Ernie Anderson. Yeah, they had that
Right,
big,
right.
deep voice.
Ooh, listen to that, though. That
So
was
then it was
good.
more of,
That
it was the
good.
first turn where normal people could be voices of networks.
Yeah,
you
Joe
know?
was basically
Yeah.
the first guy that didn't make
Superstar.
your windows rumble
Yeah.
end up on, on
But
TV.
it was so inspiring when, CBS or Fox or any of these places where you'd hear Joe. And then I remember like when a few years back, there was something like, maybe it was an ER, it was something on NBC, Joe. And I was like,
Yeah,
Yes.
it was NBC, yeah.
who is that? That's a great
Who the
voice.
heck
They're like,
is that?
That's Joe.
Yeah.
And it was Joe.
That's Sip. I'm
but
like,
he had to
oh
really
my
talk them
gosh.
into it
Yeah.
because they
So
knew
brilliant.
him
So good.
as another voice.
It
And,
killed.
and James, guys, that was really out of desperation because CBS had dropped me, and I was doing a little bit at Fox still.
Yeah.
But most of my income was gone, so I had heard from a friend of ours,
Yeah.
James George DeLoyo,
Yeah.
who's another talented voiceover guy,
George,
that
yeah.
NBC was looking for a drama voice, and I said, "What the heck?
Wow.
I'll give it a
Wow.
go."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
It
It's
kills
great.
me that Joe was so good that he was on 2 major networks
Yeah.
at the same time
Yeah.
and not doing 2 different voices. He was on Fox and CBS doing that same
They
voice.
just wanted
The
him.
craziest thing was, and James, you could relate to this too. You do radio spots, for CBS comedies, and I do radio spots for Fox comedies, and they would run back to back in the same stop set on radio, and it's like,
Yeah.
really? Doesn't anybody get this?
It's the Joe Show.
Yeah.
Gosh, I
That's
hope
hilarious.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and George DeLoyo.
Yeah, exactly. I hope not.
George started with that kind of, he did the Sopranos now on HBO.
Yes.
And now he's like, it's Disney's. He's like up there doing the Family Guy stuff.
Wow.
You got to
Really.
adapt. I love that both of you guys continue to. I know Joe still does this. Joe still works with people. I know you're still always like trying
I don't
to create
like people.
Yeah, I know you don't like people, but you guys are always working. I mean, I think you
have
always
to.
talk about you're always hustling, and it kind of shocks me into the recognition that that's not an easy life.
Well,
as much work as you get.
You always have to keep on top of what the heck's going on,
Yeah.
understanding what's going on with pop culture, and changing your reads and trying to go along with what's being booked.
How does
You
it
have to constantly
compare to
update
like
yourself.
being an on-camera person who? Because I always say that one of my biggest issues is I hate schmoozing.
Yeah.
I'm bad at it. I
The
get
networky
exhausted.
part of it.
There is a
all
lot of
that.
that in
Is
voice.
there?
Yeah,
That
there
exists?
is. Although I think it's more so wouldn't you say, Joe? It's more so in the promo or trailer world because everybody kind of wants that. Everybody that wants
Right.
to be in that does a lot of that.
Okay.
But
Yeah, there are a couple of voiceover artists that excel at that.
Yeah.
And I'm not so good at it, Lisa.
I'm not either.
Where you kind of like you go in and you sell yourself and you buy
Yeah.
them gifts and
Right.
and all that stuff.
No,
James didn't have to do that. I'll never forget, James, when I first met you. George and I were doing George Deloyo and I were doing most of the work at Fox.
Yeah.
And then we both bumped into you in the hallway at Fox, and it was like, well, who's this kid?
I was like, oh God, they probably hate me.
No.
Yeah.
Joe's laughing
No,
and
it
going,
was-
"We
it's like,
did."
Yeah, we did.
We did hate you. No,
were terrified.
I loved seeing new people come up, and I have had a wonderful career, and I always enjoy helping new folks come in. But you didn't need any help. You just came in,
that's
and you
nice.
were awesome from the get go.
Yeah,
That was
he had his own
I think
studio.
you started
too.
in end credits.
I was
didn't
going
you,
to. So the
James?
way it started with Fox, 17. I was going on 18 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Special ops. They wanted somebody that could
Special
do a
ops.
bunch of different voices. So they have different departments: the on-air department and then the special operations department that makes these special little promos. And the guys there wanted to do something really different. They wanted someone that could do 20 voices, and that's where we came up with the voice that Joe was talking about. That he liked this one right here. So they're like, what if he's been in Vegas all night? And he's been drinking bourbon and smoking cigars, and he's just going to tell you about this show on Fox. Bernie
Where does
Mac
that
is
come
coming
from?
up.
He's got such a little body. It's coming from his toes.
You know what it comes from is Mel Blanc. Remember the dog in the Looney Tunes?
Yeah.
The dog
yeah.
that Foghorn Leghorn would smack him on the butt with
Yes.
the thing, and I say no, boy, you got to keep your
I say,
eye on the
son.
ball, son. And that dog would come over and go, all right, come here, puny. And so that's just me doing that. But so I
great,
started
James.
doing that, and then they wanted like that '70s show. They wanted like a stoner dude. That '70s show is on next. All right. So I don't know. They talk about politically incorrect. The first 2 years I was at Fox, the executives thought I was a large African American man.
I still do.
Because
You
I was
still
doing all
believe
the Cedric and Bernie Mac, and it was Bernie Mac will be right back. Baby.
Oh, Lou Rawls it. Yeah.
My God.
Well, at least they had the presence in mind to
love
do
it.
that. For a period, I was doing all the UPN. Remember
Yeah, I
UPN
remember
doing
those.
the radio
Oh,
spots?
yeah, I remember that.
And
Larry.
so it
Yeah.
was me, geeky white guy, going, that's after an all-new Moesha. And it's like, why am I here? And they replaced me with Danny Bonaducci. So
Oh, that makes more sense.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Yeah.
There's a voice.
The area that I'm most fascinated with in
Yeah.
your life, James, is
We can't talk about
the,
that.
No, okay, all right. Aside from that, the celebrity voice,
The voice matching?
which is,
Yeah, that
and they've
is
had
incredible.
you've done so many that I can't even think about
have done
how
so
you'd
many.
approach. Like, I mean, I love, like, one of the first ones you ever told me about was Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
Wait, can you
So it
first
was
tell
for-
people what are the circumstances
Wow.
within which Nicolas Cage is unavailable for looping?
So
and
Because it's hard to believe he'd be unavailable for anything.
That's true.
But I
says
just love
yes
to know,
to
like,
everything.
when they call you and say, "Hey, James."
Yeah.
you know,
So okay. So the way it works, but again, the reason why I'm good at that is the work we did at Premiere.
Yeah.
Because it was,
Yeah.
we're there at 2 a.m. and you need 3 voices on the spot, and there's only 2 of us, and
You have to be everybody.
So you got to, yeah.
I mean, I do a great Nicolas Cage.
She does.
Right.
But
No, so the very first Nicolas Cage thing I booked was actually on King of
To
Queens.
prove it in a second.
King of Queens.
What?
Yeah, there's an episode of King of Queens where they go to the movies and they're watching the movie.
right.
And it's
Oh.
Nicolas Cage is in a film,
Okay.
and so I'm here to see my wife. but then I started doing him for movies. So I did like National Treasure and There was a bunch of other ones.
So you have to do serious voice matching when you're doing
Yeah,
that.
like
this
not
is
a
not
parody.
a caricature.
So that's the big difference.
How much Michael J. Fox have you had to do over the years?
That's a personal question. Wow.
That's okay. I just heard that Lisa did, what's his name? Yeah.
Huh? What now?
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas
Yes.
Cage.
Yes.
Oh,
Nicolas
he's,
Cage,
he's on a delay.
Oh, we hear you.
Yeah.
No.
He's
That
on
worried me.
Joe's on a comedy delay.
Hey, Joe.
I'm on a comedy delay.
Love is
Thank
love,
you.
okay? Let it go. All right.
Yes.
So Michael J. Fox, that was the first big one that that was what kind of got me, going in voiceover. There was a movie called Atlantis: The Lost Empire, and they made a TV show out of it that didn't turn into a TV show because the movie didn't do as good as they had hoped. So we recorded 18 episodes. They took 3 of them, turned them into a direct-to-DVD thing before the movie even came out.
Wow.
And but we had already recorded them. So I was doing Michael J. Fox's stuff, and so I was you had to really kind of watch it because through the years his voice has changed too. So oh wait a second, Doc, you mean to tell me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? He's up there.
Yeah.
But nowadays, if you're gonna do Michael J. Fox's voice, it's very different. So I did that for that. I did it for Stuart Little. There's been other things.
Didn't he do a pinball machine too or something?
I don't know. But there is a fellow by the name of AJ Locascio, and AJ is an up-and-coming young voice actor who does Michael J. Fox better than Michael J. Fox.
Wow.
When they did the Back to the Future video game, they were like, well, James, we're going to have you read on that. And I went, yeah, but I want Doc Brown. I wanted to do Doc Brown.
You did?
And they had Christopher Lloyd, but they needed young Doc. So they said, what would Chris sound like at 17? So I went, great Scott, Marty. So I would just do him kind of the way he
Like
would be
Katharine
maybe as a
Hepburn.
kid. Yeah. And so I threw a little Marty McFly in as kind of a nod to wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And AJ was so good. I was like, wow. And he was afraid, like I was with Joe, he was afraid I was going to be like, hey, kid. But I was like, man, you're better than me.
Wow.
See, Joe, that's how you're nice to young people.
There you go. Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
But
Yeah, make a note of it.
But now you got to keep up. It's like Joe's talking about keeping up. Like, so the people I voice double now, Jay Baruchel. Do you know Jay Baruchel? So everything he does is basically it's kind of like Albert Brooks. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Albert Brooks. Exactly.
So for
Who?
How to Train Your Dragon, Albert Brooks.
Who's that?
Oh, see, Larry's doing a callback.
Come on, Lair Dog.
No. So Jay Baruchel and Christopher Mintz for How to Train Your Dragon. And Christopher Mintz, what I say, is just basically, it's just kind of my voice, But he was in Superbad. He was McLovin. And so it's just a variation of my own voice. Johnny Depp, I do a lot of Johnny Depp stuff, so if he's not available, I'll come in and...
But I just have to jump in and say, for anybody who's out there that wants to do voiceover and be at the level that James is at, look at what you have to do. Just talking about Michael J. Fox and the way that his voice has changed over the years, you have to be somebody who studies that.
Right.
You have to.
That's...
It's
a tough
thing.
thing.
A lot of work.
It seems like you have to be kind of a musician. Like you hear these tones.
Yeah, it's musical. It's not an impression.
Absolutely.
It's not a caricature or an impression. It's a voice double. Because what you have to do is you have to, so the movie Alice Through the Looking Glass, there's parts of that movie that are me and parts of that are him, that are Johnny Depp.
Right.
And if you can't tell the difference, then I did my job.
Wow, man.
I can't tell the difference.
And that's different than doing a sketch show, a comedy character where you kind of hook into one thing. Yeah. Where you hook into one silly thing and kind of explode it.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken, so I do his stuff for films. And the thing is everybody does a Chris Walken, But can you do him when he's just talking and he's telling you a story? And it's just his regular voice.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what you have to be able to do.
That is so brilliant.
It's ridiculous. It really is just ridiculous.
So James, we're going to talk for a moment about your YouTube channel.
Oh, do I have
because it's very, very busy. I want to know how often. Well, first of all, what is your YouTube channel and where can people find it? Can you click on his YouTube channel, John?
Yeah, James Arnold Taylor. If
Lisa?
you go to YouTube.
Huh?
Really?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. That's convenient.
Yeah, that's youtube.com.
Right.
YouTube.com.
user slash James Arnold Taylor.
There you go.
And you have so many shows. So could you please explain how and why and what we can enjoy and how often you post and all that stuff we want to know?
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for asking. So the YouTube was an experiment about 17 months ago where I went, I'm going to see what
these kids are doing with the crazy YouTube. They like the YouTube. And
They like the YouTube. So now I'm doing all of them.
Yeah.
So I decided to just start vlogging and just create videos about my life as a voice actor and everything. I had been putting some things out for years, and I had about 7,000 subscribers, and I thought, well, why don't I see what happens? So I took these last 17 months, I built a little YouTube studio near my house.
Wait a minute. It's not a little YouTube studio. it's an unbelievable studio.
It's pretty well equipped. It's pretty much got all
incredible.
you need.
I'm a nerd. And so I just started coming up with shows. And I also, another thing I did is I wrote a book a few years ago that's a daily inspirational thing. It's just to inspire people. And so I thought I'll do a video version of it. And make it a daily video. So
and that's 365.
365,
wow.
Jat 365.
Yeah.
So every day of the year 2017, there's a new video that comes out. So there was one that came out this morning.
Oh, should we find that? Because I had, when I put my rundown together, it was yesterday.
Is it right up top there?
No, the Star Wars show is probably the one. So I did this TV show called Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and I was Obi-Wan Kenobi on it. And it was a massive cult following of that show. And Disney, I don't know if you guys know this company, Disney.
No. Disney, do you spell it D-I-Z?
K-N-E-E?
No.
Right.
Most would think that.
I would think that.
M-I-C?
They bought Lucasfilm, and they went, hey, what's this? Emmy award-winning big show. Everybody's loving it. Let's get rid of that. So they did, and they canceled us right when we were at our prime. And so a lot of fans were upset. So I've created a show called Clone Wars Conversations, where I sit and I interview my castmates on the show.
Ooh,
and we
let's
talk
click
about
on
Clone
one
Wars.
of those. Just pick one, John.
So smart.
What
Wow.
happened to our voices?
I don't know.
We're on a phone.
What?
Thank you for calling.
That's weird.
1-800.
Oh, there you go.
All right. What'd you do, Joe?
I think we maybe potted
you
up
guys
the
all
video.
disappeared for a moment there. Y'all.
Oh, it's because...
We fell into a black hole.
I think we're back.
No.
Well, you don't have to play any. People can go watch
Are those
it.
the 318? Is that the right one?
Clone Wars?
No,
Let's
well-
do that one first, because that's what he was talking about.
Oh, the Clone
This
Wars,
is
Clone Wars would be
my
up there over to the right.
This
Very
looks
far.
like
Whoops,
the
no.
daily
Yeah, playlist.
inspirational
Okay, there you go.
videos.
Let's see. The very top first one. There you go. So you click on
let's
that.
see.
And that's probably going to be an ad.
To show you how we
Yeah. Oh, get rid of that ad.
Oh, we can
no,
skip
no,
that in a
monetize.
minute.
Oh, you know what? When I cue these up in my
There we
office,
go.
I have the YouTube
There you
tab.
go. So there I am. So there you are.
Oh, you don't have
One of the
to
best
go
things about the
through
Clone
spots,
Wars was
commercials.
the
Right.
vast amount of talented voice actors that we brought in each episode.
Look how it looks like we're
And
at NBC.
So many of them started as perhaps
I know, look at that
single
set.
characters, I shoot
and
it
then
myself,
blossomed
you know. Into many
It's amazing.
due
Yeah.
to the
3
ability
cameras.
of these wonderful performers. So I go on and on, and then
That
I
way he
bring
gets
somebody
along
in.
with the
Example
crew.
of just that. Yeah, I always get along
She
with the crew.
began with the voice of a Jedi Master known as Adigolia, a sleek, sophisticated member of the Jedi Council
So I
that would become a fan
produce the
favorite.
graphics and the
then
music
by
and
her vocal
write it
range
all and
expertise, she was brought
it's
back
exhausting.
again and again
Are you-
to bring to life many others from droids
You can
to
stop me, yeah, I don't
showgirls
even-
to none
Do
other
you,
than
now,
the
do you
mother
actually
of
do
Zero
these
the
from
Hutt.
outer space?
They're an affectionate
Is that?
gift to this Jedi.
It looks
No, Larry,
really
you-
good.
Do you go to Comic-Con and all that because of that?
Yeah. Well, for years, because of Star Wars, I hosted these events called Star Wars Weekends.
At
at
Disney.
Right, you've
Disney.
been telling me about that.
Huge.
And then there was also one, the world's largest Star Wars convention is called Star Wars Celebration, and I was the host of it for a couple years.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when I created the show, and Russ, Lisa's lovely husband,
He is lovely.
created
He's
some
all right.
graphics for me for it. But so that show turned into a bigger thing. So I started hosting those events. So I hosted a lot of them, and I got very spoiled because then when you're the host, you have like handlers and they take you everywhere.
Yeah,
and all
they
that.
bring you coffee.
And now I go to cons and they're like, well, there's your table. I don't know. And I go,
It was a Sharpie.
I used to be somebody.
but you still get your crowd. I mean, that is a universe. Those nerds know their stuff.
They do.
Yeah.
So when I go to
Oh,
a
boy,
con,
do they.
it's like the one place you're a rock star as a voice
You
actor.
should let the fans bring you things. Like
They-
a robe and, you know,
I'm
slippers.
sure they
Like
do.
They
cookies.
do bring you things,
Yeah,
actually.
they do.
And it's very kind, but I always say, please.
But
I've
it's
only
like
got
their
so much
baby.
room.
Here, take my
I'm
baby.
a minimalist.
Yeah, no, I don't need a baby. Thank you.
Yeah, babies. Yeah, you get a lot of babies.
So we're
yeah.
at the port.
You
we're-
get a lot of
I don't know
babies,
what
he
that
says.
means. That means
We're at the part of the show, James. We're
really
at this part of the show.
Oh, is this that part of the show?
We find things online.
Yeah, I like that.
That
Oh,
are
my.
like maybe not you.
Okay, that's good.
We
please.
found a
'Cause this
lot of
has
you, and
been-
there's way more to explore.
James Arnold
Clearly,
Taylor.
there's way more
There's
James
way-
than we
this
even
is just-
realize.
this is just
There's
your
a lot
life.
of James.
I feel like 75% of the internet is James.
Wow,
It
it's been
is.
too much
It is.
today, really.
Yeah, there's
I
a
do
Pew
too.
research study out to that. And
I like to say pew.
So I thought we'd start with Joe because Joe. There was an email exchange that was very.
Well, you know what? Oh yes,
Yeah,
there
between-
was. Well, actually, this feathers in talking about Star Wars
Okay.
because
I
you
love
know
feathers.
several months ago they announced that there would be a Star Wars inspired resort at Walt Disney World in Florida.
It's secret.
And I thought it's an immersive sort of story. You know, you
James
become a
cannot-
citizen of the galaxy, you experience all the stories, you dress up, the attire. So I'm wondering, James, have you heard about this? And is it possible that you've had any involvement with this?
He would like to
whatsoever?
invoke executive privilege.
No, it's okay. I got this. This is where I use the Jedi mind trick.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
These are not the questions you're looking for, James. You can
These
go
are
about
not
your
the
business.
questions I'm looking for.
You can go about your podcast.
Let's just go about the podcast.
We're going to go about the podcast now.
But what did you read, Joe? Because maybe if James can't talk.
I will say this.
Okay.
I know that it is going to be, as Joe said, very immersive. It's going to be very cool, very exciting. You will get to live Star Wars, and they are working night and day.
Wow.
They've been working on this actually for many, many years. And
So in a galaxy far, far away. In the future, would you be
Orlando.
able to visit this podcast and maybe know
Yes.
more than you know right now?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
That's a great question.
I know how to ask questions.
That was
I've been
good.
watching Rachel Maddow.
Yes.
So Larry, did you find things online this week?
I did. You guys know that I have a bit of a commute generally every weekend. I'm in the car, not inching along like a lot of people do in Southern California, but I'm sometimes like 3.5, 4 hours in the car.
Sure.
And during that time, I have found that there are a lot of really aggravating people on the road.
No. Yes.
No.
Yes.
And one of the things that I have fantasized about is being able to pick up a sign and flash my message to them
Oh,
through
I'm
my
so
window.
glad you didn't say
Wow.
gun
Oh,
because I
my
was
God.
scared.
Yeah.
And I have flashed plenty of other things in my
Okay.
time.
Yes,
but haven't
you
you
have, I'm
wanted
sure.
to just kind of say, well, a lot of things. So naturally, what I found online, because I knew if I imagined it, it existed. And it does
Yes.
because internet. And so I found the website is, John, do you have that? It's roadragecards.com.
Road
Oh my
rage
God.
cards.
Which really isn't
think
any
it really-
safer than
well, if the
doing it
passenger
on your
does
own.
it, maybe
Yeah.
the passenger.
But sometimes it's hard to get across a very specific message.
I think the kids in the way back should do it.
So if
Yeah.
you can, so it's roadragecards.com, and then if you could go to the examples, and I just want to warn everybody that some of these
Is there
are not
cursing?
safe for work.
Cursing?
Okay.
And is it okay to say the words or not?
I think James should say them in various different
I don't think
accents.
so. Well, here's the thing:
There you go.
they do give you options of. Can you scroll? Can you go to the? I think there's a
you
separate
driving
link
that to
there,
the dump?
Thomas. Learn how to drive.
Okay, that's
Okay, that's pretty basic, right?
Yeah.
There's
Speed it up, jackass.
There's a tab
Yeah.
well, it depends on how angry you get.
Okay.
Because there's learn how to
Yes.
drive, and then there's flip it over and learn how to drive, you idiot.
Oh, I see. They take it up a
There's,
notch. Yeah.
This is the
Yes.
fast lane, or
Larry, this is really funny because this goes back to what we were talking about. I was just telling Lisa. So when I was going through bits yesterday
Okay.
of stuff, and I didn't put them in the list because they were a little. I had to bleep words and stuff.
Right.
It was this. It was Lisa comes on, and now a public service announcement from the person in front of you, and then it was me going,
Yes.
"Hey, turn on your beeping blinker."
Right.
You know, it was this bit.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
That's groupthink. Yeah.
Shows
So
how ahead
funny.
we all
We
were.
We were
created
so ahead.
Everything.
We created the
everything.
internet.
We created the
did.
internet.
You may have
I think
inspired
you're
the
right.
internet.
create the internet.
Yes,
Well-
Oh my
we
God.
hired Eric
Internet.
Canale at a very young age, and we were the first with a website.
Oh, look at that.
yeah. Well, I just wanted everybody to know that due to your inspiration and the fact that
Yes.
this exists, anybody's looking for a stocking stuffer for me, I would love to have the
Oh,
sign
okay,
that
Larry.
says this is called the slow lane for a reason, dipwad, or whatever the sign says.
Here would be me with those signs.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the seat next
Yeah.
to me. I suddenly stop. They're all on the floor. When I need one, I'm trying to get it. I hit the car in front of me. They hold up a sign that says "Back
Yeah.
off, stupid
My
asshole."
signs would be
my
Twitter
story.
after after it doubles the character limit, and they would be, do you realize when you turn on your sprinkler system to wipe your windshield that it goes over your car and hits my car?
I hate
have
you.
it 3 cars behind.
Hate that.
Happened to
Mine
me
would be
today.
long-winded.
Always when you get your car washed.
On the 405, right behind me, and it immediately makes my windshield unseeable through.
Yeah.
Unsee-throughable.
Yes.
But you insist to not do it yourself to the person behind you.
No, I would never. I wait until there's no one.
I always
for
wait.
miles.
I always
Yeah.
wait too.
Yeah.
All right, so
much
Because
better.
Larry,
we're
I
better
would want to
people.
say, with this communication to cars around you, my fantasy always was, why can't we somehow broadcast into their radio inside the car so that it comes through their
Yes.
speakers? There's
Wow.
got to be that
in
technology.
Joe's voice,
Or,
always.
or use like a voice to text kind of technology where you get one of those crawls across the
Holograms.
back of your car.
or James, it would be you saying, "I'm driving right behind you."
I'm right
behind you. Anyway, that's what I found, and
That's good, Larry.
And I love them.
I've
I love
already
it.
bought you
Yeah.
2 of them.
So what I found is going to close out the show.
Oh.
Okay.
And that's that you
It
can find
usually
online.
does.
Now, when we were all kids in show business together,
Yeah.
Larry spent about 3 to 7 years making a documentary.
No.
And it
Oh,
was
my God.
it was inspirational because I went on to make documentaries, but his was a fakecumentary.
It was a mockumentary.
Yeah, a
Yes.
mockumentary. And it
Yeah.
was about the comedy team of Pete and James. But there was a fake Pete. Anyway, you guys explain it, and then we'll play the clip.
Well, do we need to say the real Pete, like the story?
Well, the
of-
real Pete is the Pete we heard
Pete
in
Hansen,
in
yeah.
Stan and Larry. Pete Hansen
We
was
love you,
your
Pete Hansen.
creative partner and significant other during
Yeah.
that period. In
A
great-
funny,
Much
funny
to my
man.
wife's chagrin.
In
A
business.
funny man.
Yeah, the two of you together were kind of amazing. But
we were
you,
like, Paul and John.
well, I'll
Yeah.
I'll tell you the genesis for the bit,
Okay.
which was there was a premiere Christmas party in Palm Springs.
Yeah, Palm
Those
Springs.
were
It was in
epic.
Palm Springs.
And there was a
And then they
talent
stopped.
show, which was
Wow.
just mind-numbingly awful. Except,
Lisa was great.
Except for me
Lisa
and
did.
Rosie,
You
we
did a
always
bit.
stole the
Did
show.
I?
Yeah, you did a bit.
well, Pete,
The gal.
Pete and James went up, and James has for a long time been doing stand-up comedy.
Yes.
and has material.
And act
Pete
and
Hansen,
talent
not a
and- yeah.
stand-up guy, but they were a team. So they went up on stage at the talent show. James starts doing his material, and he's 2 or 3 jokes in, and you realize Pete is just basically sitting there
Smoking.
on a stool as you do your material.
Yeah.
And that goes on for a while.
Yeah.
And then the only thing Pete says is, we're the comedy team of Pete and James. And
So
And do you know how that came about? So
Where'd
this
Joe
was-
go?
We're in
I
a
love
tunnel
it.
again.
We're in that thing
Yeah.
again.
Oh.
The
I
channel.
can't see Joe.
The channel. So the way that came about, though, Larry, was I was getting back into stand-up because I was frustrated. Like, I want to start doing stand-up again. And Pete went, hey, what about me? How am I going to make any money if you're doing stand-up?
Oh, wow.
And I went, okay.
We're not
Well,
married.
then why don't you just come up on stage with me? We'll
Right.
be the comedy team of Pete and James, and you'll sit back there and do what you always do, smoke.
Yeah.
And he went,
And
okay.
it was
my
very
God.
and it was very Andy Kaufman-esque because James is doing actually really funny material,
Yep.
but you're kind of distracted by
Pete.
When's he going to say something?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
What's
that's
he
so
gonna
And
do?
I
awesome.
remember sitting there in the audience going, that is the greatest. We should do a short film. I said that to myself. James approaches me a relatively short time later and
Yeah.
says, I've always thought about making it was after you and Pete had parted
Yeah,
ways,
yeah.
and I don't think he was even working there anymore. And
No, probably
Pete
not.
and Derek are somewhere together.
The
I just know.
refrigerator.
Yeah,
Sit
you know
in
what?
some-
This brings me as a casual listener. Nobody has told me or us who are listening what happened to Pete. Is it a bad story?
No,
Are
no.
we not
Pete's
going there?
okay. No, Pete's okay.
Yeah,
He's
what
working in radio still, and he's in
Oh, he moved
to
Idaho.
Idaho.
He's in Idaho, and we're we're in contact every once in a
So
while.
what happened, Joe, was
Okay.
that we had 2 comedy teams. We had Alan and Derek, and we had Pete and James. And slowly, it just became kind of like apparent that there was one guy in both teams that was doing 90% of the work. And the
Gotcha.
other guy was
Boom.
funny and
Yes.
talented, but didn't know how to push one button on one piece of machinery. Derek used to time
Right.
his day around his parking meter, and he would leave work when he ran out of quarters. He'd spend half the day having lunch with Lee Crow,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he'd
Oh,
tell
yeah.
me
Oh, my
that,
God.
you know,
That's hilarious.
maybe he had quarters, but it was laundry day, and he really had to go. So,
and part of the problem there
And
is
Pete-
with
Pete was
with-
very
with-
talented, but had a
Very
lot,
talented.
lot of demons. But he
but
knew how to
doing
do
the
stuff, but he
lion's
just got
share of the
lazy.
work were James and Alan.
But the
I
problem
see.
was, on James' side, he was getting the sense that people thought that Pete was kind of this, like, mad genius. Like,
Yes.
he was the one
Everybody-
with
well,
the
he's-
brilliant ideas. And the fact was, the two of them together was pretty special.
Yes. Oh,
and
yeah.
what they
Yeah.
created was just that alchemy that you can't get. But
Yeah.
James was not only doing most of the work, the writing, the production, the finished stuff, he was also keeping Pete from teetering off the edge of life. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
very dark time.
It was a codependent
And so,
relationship.
honestly, I feel
Sorry to
like
hear that.
James wanting to make this mockumentary that we made
It was healing.
essentially a year-long therapy session without having to pay a guy.
Yeah, which I do now. Which
Does
is
that
good,
explain it, Joe? Yeah.
And
Yeah, it
Jason
does. It
Huber
does.
played Pete.
And so we
Huber.
found, again, recommended by Bern Offit, I think,
Yeah.
is that we talked to this guy named Jason Huber.
Well, I had seen him in shows with you.
Yeah.
You had been doing
So-
improv with him.
Yeah.
We took
Well,
him.
well,
we
yeah,
took him to a
sketch.
Baja
Sketch.
Fresh. We explained what we
he
wanted
loves
from
Mexican
him.
food. That's why he did it.
And he
loose
sat
with the budget there.
and he
yeah.
sat on a stool in the Baja Fresh when we described the character. And Jason basically went, "You mean kind of like this?" And we
He
went,
inhabited.
"You're right, guy."
Yeah,
You're
he
the
inhabited
guy.
it. And so I think
Wow.
the trailer pretty much speaks for itself. But this is a star-studded trailer.
Oh,
You do
cool.
have to watch carefully. There's
Yeah, it's kind
there's
of.
some
let's watch it.
appearances.
We called in every possible favor we could think of.
Yeah,
and
so-
this was before things were
Before-
easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, way before.
Well, I was doing
Ooh, I was
stand-up on my own for, a couple years, and I was doing okay. I was at a club where I just performed,
Teeth were so
and I stopped at the bar for a drink. And there's this guy next to me who's smoking. This other comedian came up, and he started asking me, so what are you working on? And I did a couple minutes for him, and the guy's really enjoying it and everything. And the last thing he says to me, he says, "You guys are great."
So guys, tell me, did you actually get to see Jimmy Kimmel, Adam Carolla?
Oh yeah, it was many times.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I saw the news the other day. They're participating in sweeps. They had the singing reporter.
Seeing them do their act together is what made us want to be the comedy team.
You inspired
The
Jimmy
nice thing
Kimmel.
about Pete and James is when they're on the stage, the audience knows they're having a good time. And it's infectious. Sometimes the performers get a little jaded. They did not. They just kept up that energy and
He's
that
watching
excitement. The audience knew it.
There's this fire. Da-dum.
I love this photo montage. It's so
Oh, that's
great.
such a good song.
Yeah, we were really on a roll. We were doing Letterman and Leno, Comedy Store, the Improv, the Laugh Factory. We did the Laugh House, the Comedy Bin, Giggles, Chuckle Hut, Guffaws, Ha-Has, Hee-Hees, Hee-Haws, Ho-Hos, Funny Bones, the Funny Farm, Senior McFunnies, the Laugh Plate, Comedy Corner, Comedy Cellar, Comedy Alley, Comedy Attic, Comedy Corral, Comedy Kitchen, Jeff's.
People had the
I think
feeling
that's
that they were on.
I think that's enough.
I
That's just
wanna watch
long.
it forever.
I think
Jeff's.
Oh my
Now,
god.
Oh my
now
God.
talk about inspiring other comedy people. That joke,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
bit right there, which is
I
a
watched-
really
yeah.
funny bit. That exact same joke, basically,
Right.
is in Andy Samberg's
Star.
Pop Star mockumentary. It's the exact same rhythm. It ends with the same
Wow.
kind of tag.
Ends with Jeffs?
Clearly, they weren't.
Who else has played
It's
Jeff?
with Jeff. It's literally that same rhythm. I used to play in the clubs, this
Yeah.
and that, these wacky, crazy names, and then it was like Bob,
Montage.
something like that.
Yeah. That was it. I think that was kind of ahead of its time. That little mockumentary, and we shot that thing and edited it on our IMAX before, Final
Yeah.
Cut.
We didn't.
wow.
We didn't have cameras. Didn't create board. They didn't have widescreen then, so we actually had to alter it in the program. We had to tape the borders over the viewfinder.
Didn't you turn Denny's into a comedy club?
We did.
Oh,
It was in a.
yes.
It was an abandoned
it was-
Denny's.
Yeah.
Premiere was about to turn it into studios.
It was haunted.
And we were talking, and I
Oh
go,
my
let's
God.
just get
We
in
just
there.
we
Wow.
drove to
Run and gun.
Do you
we
remember
drove to
this?
Sunland,
Oh my God.
and because it was the only Home Depot where we could find fake brick
It was the
facade.
Do It Center.
Yeah, the Do It Center.
Yeah, so I have to because it's fun
man.
to say.
It is fun to say.
And we drove back on side streets because we couldn't go down a freeway because it almost took his SUV aloft as we drove along.
And then, do you remember the stage?
This was so deep. It was a do it
the
yourself
stage
thing.
was they were doing construction out in front, and there was this little piece of wood, and we went, let's take that and make it our stage.
Yeah.
So we like one
Oh, my
night
God.
went out there and brought it into the Denny's, and it was just like 4 inches, but it made for a stage.
Wow.
What's really wild is that most of the kind of digital stuff that is so easy to do now, you can't appreciate it then. But it's like the photo montage was
it was so
me
hard.
just basically locking down a tripod and just taking frames at a time and moving it out of the way.
Now it's just a button. Ken Burns effect.
We had to call in favors. I mean, there's a shot of their album cover on in front of Tower Records when they used to blow them up on the side of Tower Records, and that was like a days-long process. We had
And
to ask
Letterman
a guy.
holding it.
Letterman holding it. That was actually you guys with Jay Leno,
Yeah,
which
that was. We went there.
we called in a favor from Jimmy
Yeah, how you guys doing? Yeah,
from Brogan.
From Brogan,
That's awesome.
We have Ryan Seacrest's voices in there, Casey Kasem's voices in there. They all did
You're
custom
kidding.
stuff for us.
You had
yeah.
Gary Kroger and
that was at Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Kimmel's house.
Oh wow!
Where I went over and I asked him for a favor. He and Adam were doing the Man Show at the time, and he was making pizzas for people, and that's why he has an apron on. And they were drunk on red wine.
Oh, wow.
And I took him back to his office, and I literally I told him in 30 seconds, here's what the movie about. It's about a comedy team. One guy does all the material, the other guy just sits in the background, and go.
And then they just went.
Freaking like they gave me stuff.
And Popstar though starts that same way.
It's the same. It's the same. Yeah,
it's that
it
same
is the
basic concept.
same.
But Bud Friedman actually did a great job in that too, where you gave him the same thing. You gave him a couple minutes.
I said, pretend you're talking about Richard Pryor and somebody else and what it was like when, and he just. Yeah, it was weird.
he nailed it.
It's Jimmy Kimmel's birthday today, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday, Jimmy
Happy
Kimmel.
birthday, Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, my gosh.
And Larry, where can people find the whole movie? Can they find the whole movie?
They can't right now, actually. It's and
we talked about
you can
putting
put
it
the
on
whole
my
thing on YouTube now.
I talked about putting it on my
Now,
channel.
is that a legal thing, or you just haven't been able to upload it?
Well,
we can do it.
There are some songs that we have a legal version and a not quite so legal version.
Barely legal version.
Well, I heard Badfinger in there.
The
no
Pete
matter
and
what it
James.
was.
All the
Unrated.
music. We did all the music originally. So like that, no matter what version was Tim Pilcher singing it, and it was the music was all done. They're original versions, but they are songs.
Yeah, we did 70s covers.
Interesting.
They all have themes, and Lisa has a great
that sounded
part in
like
it.
Badfinger.
Yeah, Lisa is in it as a publicist, a bitchy, terrible publicist.
She's Pete's kind of publicist and stuff. And there's a great moment where. I'm there with her and Jeff Stein, and they're the attorneys telling me I can no longer use the names Pete or James.
Right.
And I go, but James is my name. And Lisa goes, gives me this look like so confused by why.
How are you not understanding this? It's fun. You know what? We've talked so much. We actually did a DVD commentary.
We did,
and it's never been on DVD.
Oh my
A
god!
lot of my fans ask about
you
it.
You did the
though,
director's commentary for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should put it on.
You
the
have to. You have
But
to.
you got to get that up on the internet.
I have to say,
Come
talk about back in the day and just kind of that was a let's just do this. It
Guerrilla
was
filmmaking.
it was basically just James and I sometimes. James would call me up and go, I think we're missing a scene like this. And he would pick me up. I would sneak out of work.
Yeah.
We would get in a car and we would drive
find
somewhere.
some place that we thought we would get not in trouble for shooting in front of or something. Yeah.
Gary Kroger was
to be young and passionate about your art.
Well, the crazy thing is you could do it all on an iPhone now, and it would look better than that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's do a shot-for-shot remake.
And you can edit it on the iPhone.
I know.
That's right.
Huh? Can I be Pete?
Yes.
Yeah, because we're certainly not
Pete
going to
every time they make it.
Because we're going to get a younger.
It's like the Spinal Tap drummer.
Excuse me.
What are you
What
thinking?
now?
Is Larry thinking something
No,
inappropriate?
he was being a bastard. Is what he
Oh,
was
I
doing.
see. I see.
It was inappropriately.
knows-
It was inappropriately mean.
He knows she knows it.
What's happening?
You're gonna have to grow a beard.
Wow.
Gonna
Movie
have
never
to.
really
Hey, I'll
got-
just stop shaving.
Do you remember we were going to premiere it at the New Orleans Comedy Festival?
We had entered the New Orleans Comedy Festival, Film Festival, and it had been accepted, and we had Southwest flights booked. And
What happened?
9/11.
9/11.
What?
No.
And we decided,
Oh my gosh.
not
Well, we
only
couldn't
did we
fly.
not want to fly, we could have flown.
We couldn't get them a copy of the finished copy. They only had a VHS that didn't have like the credits and stuff. It was still a work. It was a temp one because we had sent it a few weeks earlier, and we were literally editing, last minute. So they played it, for the people that were there
They
at
did
the festival.
play it, yeah.
Wow.
And we won a couple back home in your home.
Yeah, in my hometown there was the Desert Film Festival in Texas. It won an audience award, and people really dug it.
Nice.
Yeah, but we never got to actually. We did screen it at the
ArcLight
Cinema in Sherman.
I saw it there.
Yeah.
No, I think it's fantastic.
It's fun.
Now, Joe, everyone's sort of probably wondering where you are, and I don't know exactly where you are, but what you had told
I'm in
me
New
was
York City. I'm actually in Brooklyn. Hey,
Are
how
you-
you doing?
Hey,
I'm in
Brooklyn.
Hey.
But you had told me that you were going to be at an event. Are you at an event?
Oh no! You know
Small
what?
one.
I ended up, and this is kind of boring, but James,
Okay.
you know how it goes. I was supposed to be at an event tonight, and then I got a booking for a voiceover, and I couldn't go to the event. So
Okay, 'cause I was gonna
I couldn't
I
get
was gonna-
there. I had a 6:30. We started 7 East Coast time. There was no way I can get there. So
I was going to say, go find a waiter and help him say goodbye with us, but there's no waiters there at your house. Okay. All right, so we can all say goodbye. This has been a fantastic
So
show. I want to
sad.
thank James Arnold Taylor,
Yes.
Joe Cipriano, Larry Morgan,
wanna
Lisa
leave.
Arch, and our crew,
Lisa.
Jasper Maddox, John Maddox, Thomas Hubble. Everyone has been fantastic. My husband, Ron Zonin, is in the studio.
Ron is there. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, come in front of the camera, Ronnie, so Joe can see.
Come on, Ron.
Look, Ronnie's here.
Oh.
See? He's the best
There he is.
husband besides you
Ron.
guys. We'll see you next week. We love you.